Okay. Thank you very much, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name, as I say, is Osita Chidoka, and this morning I'm going to briefly, as I'll try to be as brief as possible. Politicians are not known to be brief, but I'll try and be as brief as possible on the knowledge-driven economy. Two things I want you to take away from this conversation. The first one is what I call the underlying principle of success, which cuts across both the knowledge economy and the real economy, quote and unquote. And it's a philosophy I developed while I was with the Federal Road Safety Commission, and it comprises of three items. First one is, I think that for anybody to succeed in life, you must measure. Measurement is key. Our African culture does not allow us to measure. We don't like to measure. We don't like to state where are we and where are we going to and how long it will take us to get there. So in our culture, we see people talk about when you are coming to my house, just when you get to that St. Vincent Church, turn right, because we don't have addresses to houses. Or when you get by the mango tree on that road, look at the house on the left and then take the next right. So we have a culture that doesn't measure. We have a culture that doesn't like exactitude. So it is quarter after 4 it is after 4 in Nigeria, it is to 4 in Nigeria. And everybody in the world will ask you, what do you mean by to 4? Is it like 15 minutes to 4 or 10 minutes to 4? Because in our culture, to 4 means, well, anytime before 4. And that's a lot of 30 minutes. I remember a governor who said that when he did his asset declaration, he was worth between 1 and 2 billion. And I'm like, 1 and 2 billion is 1 billion difference. How are you worth between 1 and 2 billion? It's not possible. But that's the culture we have. So the first thing you must do as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, is to measure. You must measure. And when you measure, the next thing you must do is to monitor. That's why a car has a dashboard. The whole idea of the dashboard is to see how much fuel you have, the engine oil, the temperature of the vehicle, because you want to be able to know whether the fuel I have in this car will take me to Aba or will take me to Port Harcourt, or I need to refuel in between Enugu and Okigwe. That decision is because you have a monitoring mechanism that shows you, I'm at full tank, I'm at half tank. So when Americans are selling cars, they tell you how many gallons per mile you're going to be getting from the car, because it is important you monitor. For a business, when you don't monitor, you run out of cash faster than you imagine. Because once you run out of cash, that's the end of story for the business. Every business is alive so long as it has the cash to pay its bills, so long as it has the revenues to sustain its dreams, so long as it has the money to make its capital investments. And that is only possible when you monitor, when you constantly look at your dashboard to see what drives, how long you have to get to the next stop. And then, when you measure and when you monitor, the next thing you must do is that you must continuously improve. So I call it the M squared I. You measure, you monitor, and then you improve. Anything that you measure and monitor will always show you the rooms for improvement. If you can't measure and monitor, you cannot improve. That's why the story of Nigeria, the story of Africa, is a story of missed opportunities, is a story of what could have been, but is not, because we didn't measure, we didn't monitor, and we are not creating improvements. So we keep telling the stories every year of how much road we are going to build, of how much we are going to spend in young people, of how much we are going to spend in education, but because we haven't measured, because we haven't monitored, it is difficult for us to improve. And improvement is the soul of our meeting here today. For us to be able to run a knowledge economy, for us to be able to go to the new world, we must improve. We must make sure that we have the capacity to take our society from where it is to where it ought to be, and to see the markers for leading us to that journey. Now, I want to bring this back to the idea of entrepreneurship, to the market that is available for us here in Nigeria. Nigeria is a huge market, but let me put that huge market in perspective for you. The first thing you will realize is that we're talking about, and there again, another culture of inexactitude. Our population is about 180 million. Now, that is the culture of lack of measurement. We are saying we are about 180 million. So we are not certain how many millions we have. But if you look at the culture, if you look at 180 million people, and you look at Nigeria as it is today, the desert is coming down at the rate of 6 kilometers every year. So the Sahelian desert is coming down. In the southeast, we have massive issues with, very, very important issues with erosion. Erosion is eroding most of our places in the southeast. And then in the south-south, we have oil spillage, we have very strong degradation of our rainforest coming from the south. So what you see going to happen to Nigeria is that the desert is coming from the north, erosion is in the southeast, degradation in the south-south. All of us will start migrating to the center of Nigeria, because as the desert is traveling down, the people in the north are looking for water. That's why we have the herdsmen and the farmers' clashes. In the 60s and in the 70s, the herdsmen used to approach the east after the harvest. By the time they come here, we had done the harvest, which is after towards the dry season. We've done the harvest, and then all that we have caught in the farms, the cows will eat them, and then of course the cows will leave their dung on the farms before the next rains come. So it was a symbiotic relationship between the herdsmen and the farmers. But because of the pressure for water, the farmers are arriving here now before harvest. So what happens? The cows go ahead and eat up the unharvested farm produce. So I want you to see the problem now. The Sahel Desert is coming. The economic conditions here are down, and then population is growing. The population is growing. And the population is growing, for you to understand it, is that Nigeria is about the size of Texas, with about 1% of the economy of Texas, in terms of the economy here. So we have serious challenges that needs to be solved by the young people in this room. Our average age is in the 20s in Nigeria. We have a very young population. And for us to be able to make progress, we can no longer have the manufacturing capacity of China. We can't have the discipline of the Koreans, of the South Koreans, to drive production the way we are. The only thing we can offer the world today, is knowledge. Why is that possible? It is possible because there is a fair spread of knowledge across the world. And Nigerians, everybody acknowledges all over the world. In the book called Triple Package by Amichua and her husband, they pointed out that the Nigerian diaspora is one of the most successful diasporas in the US. They are very well represented in Wall Street, in the top Ivy League universities, because Nigeria is a society that has, and certain parts of Nigeria, is strongly built on the ethic of hard work. Now, the knowledge economy that has to be driven from Nigeria. Coal is no more in use. All over the world, people are backing out of using coal. We're talking about a post-oil economy. So oil is not going to be the major driver of the world going forward. So what is going to be the deal for us? The deal for us in this room is that Africa is a continent of 1.2 billion people. 1.2 billion people market is available for Nigerians to trade in. Africa is a continent that is bigger than North America, bigger than China, and bigger than Europe combined together. You can fit it into Africa if you put this continent into Africa. Africa is a very, very big continent. Not only is Africa a very big continent, Africa has also innovative companies coming up across the world. McKinsey did a recent study at the World Economic Forum. They asked a question. How many companies do you think make up to $1 billion a year revenue in Africa? And I will ask in this room, how many companies do you think have up to $1 billion revenue in Africa? If you think there are up to 50, raise your hands. If you think there are up to 50 companies in Africa that make $1 billion revenue, raise your hands. Do you think there are up to 30 companies that make up to $1 billion? Do you think there are up to 10? Nobody is raising their hands in the room. So nobody believes here that there are companies that make $1 billion revenue. Now, let me tell you the fact. Despite your disbelief, despite your not voting for 50 or 30 or even 10, Africa has 400 companies that make $1 billion revenues every year. Can you beat that? There are 400 companies in Africa that make $1 billion revenue yearly. And that is the shocking fact about Africa. It is a continent of missed opportunities, but a continent of huge potentials. And the only way we can reach this capacity, the only way we can plug into this market, and don't forget, some of the billion-dollar companies are in Nigeria, from Dangote to GT Bank. Some of those companies are in Nigeria. So the next wave of development is who can tap into this market. We cannot develop the African market with foreign interest. No matter how much the Chinese bring loans to Africa, the only thing that can unlock the potentials of Africa is local technology, local knowledge, and the resilience that comes from the African continent. And that is why when you are developing your apps, don't think about Nigeria, don't think about Enugu, don't think about when you sit in Enugu, don't see the lifestyle, coal city lifestyle. No. What I want you to see is 1.2 billion people who in 2015 have 322 million cell phones, smartphones, and in 2020, they will have about, in 2030, there will be about 630 million smartphones in Africa. And these smartphones will be more than the smartphones in the United States of America. It will be more than the smartphones in the whole of North America. So when you look at the African market, don't be constrained by the infrastructure of no road. Don't be constrained by the infrastructure of no water in your house. Don't be constrained by the infrastructure of poor governance models. Think about Africa. Think about 1.2 billion people. Think about the potentials that we all carry in our hands called cell phones. Think about the technology companies, the telecom companies that have built massive infrastructure that needs to be utilized. And when you think about this, then when you think about that application, when you think about that business model, then you are thinking about things that will make us unhinge, unlock the potentials of Africa, unlock the potentials of Nigeria. Now we have our challenges with governance issues in Nigeria, but I can tell you that we have to behave like the Indians have done. When you go to Bangalore, it's not the only place in India, but it's a place where the tech companies have come together and they are driving change in India. The bulk of India still has issues with our daily problems, but there are few islands, and Enugu, and according to what I see Genesys doing here, have the potentials of building an oasis in the desert of lack of infrastructure, or building an oasis in the desert of the incompetence of governance that is celebrated in Nigeria. I used to tell people that governance in Nigeria is a celebration of the ordinary, because I see governors argue. I have done 300 kilometers of roads. That's what local governments do in other countries. I've seen governors argue, oh, I refurbished 30 schools in my tenure. But that's what you were elected to do. What is happening in Nigeria today is that as we celebrate the ordinary, the young people who are more in number, who have the potentials of changing the narrative of Nigeria, who all of you in this room have the capacity to change the narrative in Nigeria, are meanwhile utilizing your votes for nothing. You are utilizing your votes for the celebration of incompetence. For governors who say, I'm not owing 14 months of salary. It's not true. I'm only owing 12 months. That's what a governor said. I'm not owing 14 months. I'm owing 12. Why did you say 14? And this is what we are celebrating in Nigeria. So, I want you to take away a few things. In 2030, We're going to have almost 17 cities in Africa with over 5 million people. In Nigeria, Ibadan, Kano, Lagos are going to have more than 5 million people living in them. And these 5 million people will require so many things to survive. They will require water, sanitation. They will require accommodation. They will require food. They will require energy. They will require to be able to go out and shop. They will require traffic management. They will require bus management systems. They will require public transit that will make it possible to move from one point to the other. That is the opportunity for the young Africans. In Kenya, a team of young men went out and mapped the route of all the buses in Kenya, how the buses move around in Kenya. And they came out with this app that has made it look like the London Underground. So when you're in Kenya, if you want to go to the blue line, the red line, the yellow line, operated by the buses, the regular buses in Kenya, in Nairobi, you can actually do that sitting on your phone. And now they're moving to the next stage of actually putting trackers through the cell phone of the drivers to tell you what time the bus will arrive at the next bus stop. So Kenyans are solving Africa's problem of mobility with technology. Why can't we solve it in Nigeria? Why can't our young people think out solutions that will unleash our potentials as the great African giants? Across the world, people have thought about how do we solve everyday problem with technology? And that, for me, is the key for Nigeria. If you go to Ushahidi, the Kenyan software about election monitoring, about sharing information on election day, about stopping rigging, it was done by young people in Kenya who figured out that one of the keys to making Kenyan society work is to have free and fair elections. So the world of tomorrow, the Africa of tomorrow, the Africa of the 1.2 billion people, with the potentials to grow to almost 2 billion over the next 30 years. Nigeria is going to become a big economy, or in terms of number, bigger than the United States by 2050. And that has implications for all of us. It has implications for you, it has implications for me, it has implications for our children yet to be born. But I think that in the midst of these implications is the opportunity. And that opportunity is the people I see in this room. That opportunity is our capacity to innovate, our capacity to transform our everyday problem using technology. We have solved the problem of communication with our cell phones. We have solved the problem of our interaction through the social media that we have today. But the next wave of development, what will offer you employment? Government jobs are gone. Nobody is going to be happy anymore working for government. The potentials of government to employ the young people coming out of school is very, very low. The private sector, jobs are being automated. Technology is taking over. So the number of people they require to operate bank branches are reducing every day. So the bank jobs are going. The insurance sector has been moved with innovation. People are going to sit in their houses and buy insurance policies. So they may not need you to become marketers in the insurance industry anymore. So what is left for all of us? What is left is the small and middle businesses that are driving societies. What is left for us is a knowledge economy. For us to sit in Nigeria and project to the whole world. For us not to be handicapped by our infrastructural challenges. For us not to be demotivated by our poor governance outcomes. For us not to be held hostage by what I call the economy of sharing that has become the story of Nigeria. But for us to be liberated by the sharing economy that makes it possible for technology to allow us to share our potentials, to allow us to share our knowledge, to allow us to embrace the sharing economy and make ourselves a strong African model for the rest of the Africans to emulate. Therefore, I think that if you measure, if you monitor, you will improve. Any of you that own a business here, any of you that is trying to win the $30,000 seed funding that is available today, you must measure, you must monitor, you must improve. But you must look beyond the environment and think about that intersection where problems meet solution and where technology underpins the problems and the solution. So I hope that as we gather here today and as we continue to gather in the hills of Enugu, that the coal city of yesterday, driven by coal, will be driven tomorrow by the knowledge economy that we are unleashing here today. I believe that as we leave the halls here today from the lifestyle city, that not only should it become a style of our living, that technology will drive our tomorrow. It will become the story from Nigeria that Igbo land, Enugu State, can no more be held hostage by his yesterday, but is today renewed by the possibilities of tomorrow and is encouraged by the young people here in this room who will drive the growth and the potentials of a new society. The new Nigeria we're about to build will not be built from the government houses in Enugu or in Anambra or in Abuja. It will be built from the inner recesses of our small cities, from the small young men holding their computers and their laptops, from the people with their mobile phones thinking about innovative solutions to the problem of tomorrow. So I want to thank you all and welcome you to this occasion and to say, when you measure, remember to monitor. When you monitor, remember to improve. But above all of this, I will leave you with my last philosophy. You must combine the Igbo concept of uche, which is the concept of intelligence, of knowledge. You must together bring it together with the concept of uchu, the concept of hard work, of persistence, of continuous quest for excellence. And then you must underlie it with the concept of eguchuku, of morality, of knowing that might is not right, that evil cannot overtake goodness, and that ultimately the good will outstand the evil. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.